Right, so let's also welcome Sanjiv Bhasin in the discussion on markets. Sanjiv, morning. Sanjiv, it's a bit of a shakeout which is on, which you were kind of mentioning some time now. But what one really sees in the market is that the entire market is it's not a broad-based sell-off backed by volumes and big sell figures. In fact, FID were small buyers. But the point is that the frothy areas of the market may be undergoing a correction. Do you see some more shakeout before buying comes in? Or you will already start becoming a buyer?
Yeah, good morning, Ajay. So that's a natural course. You see, the mid cap, small cap had run way ahead of valuations, and that will always be the bull market is in the mid and small caps. Don't make any mistake about that. And it is also telling you that we are in a global bull market. I mean, the Nikkei is up 1,000 points today. When in last you saw at 36 year highs, the Nasdaq, the S&P is above 5,000. Yes, there will be this wall of money which will say that markets will come down. But yesterday, in a macro level, your inflation numbers are weak, are lower, and growth is relatively high. I still think the large caps and certain stocks in the mid caps will again look attractive. You've seen a lot of profit booking in the PSUs, but that's where the real wealth has been created. So this is part and parcel of the market. I would expect the index to start to outperform and banks to join in. That has been a weak spot. Now, if inflation is lower, credit is expanding, I think, like I said, private banks are in a very sweet spot.
Excellent. So how are your trading ideas looking like right now?
Yeah, so Ajay, I've been relatively very bullish on IOC and NALCO as two picks. We've added ONGC also there. You see the numbers from NALCO, because of their 8,000 crore capex, now will start to reflect extremely bullish results. Three things: bauxite, aluminium, and the underlying iron ore. All three are going to be playing to the perfect side from here. You've seen the numbers of Coal India. NALCO can be a huge outperformer. I see this stock even doubling from here in the next 1 year. That is the ground reality on NALCO. You can't have it at 14,000 crore market cap and the type of performance which it has on dividend yields and so on. So NALCO is a good pick over here. Keep your stop loss at say 135. It could again scale back to 165 and beyond, depending on your horizon. Second would be, I think over here, like I said, I am very bullish on the private banks, even though they've underperformed. I like HDFC and I like Kotak. And I think all the bonhomie on underperformance is more or less in the price. You've seen the exit of large players who had to. Thirdly, I would be very, very bullish on the oil marketing companies and use this decline to buy. Like I said, you have to be selective in your stock picks. India Bull Real Estate is one stock which we recommended at 100. It's gone to 125. We are not aware of what the the court verdict was, but I'm very bullish on that stock over a period of time. Fourthly, I will give you one dark horse, Religare. Now, the Burmans have acquired 25% stake. Their open offer is for 26%. You can imagine what it will be when this insurance, broking, investment bank goes in the hands of the Burmans, and every large group wants to acquire a financial firm. I see Religare scaling over 350 in the next 1 year. You cannot have it at 1.5 times price to book, given the advent of fresh capital and a fresh look management.
Okay, fair enough, Sanjeev. Wow, you've really taken care of a whole lot of stocks now. I'm not as spoiled for choice to ask you, but I will get in your opinion then on Paytm. Macquarie has gone ahead and slashed the target price by over 50%, talking about a lot of concerns and the road ahead as well being quite choppy to say, or bumpy.
And now they're downgrading Paytm to 275. So what goes in making a good brokering amount and creating fear when it's most needed? That's the attitude I have. Now, I am not making two bones. I have invested and we are seeing a pain in that. But like I said, PB, FinTech, Zomato make up for that. For me to comment on Paytm would be slightly difficult till we get more color. And you are aware of the noise. Now, the stock is seeing that, and Z is seeing very, very strong hands buying. That's all I can comment. On Macquarie, like I said, we will wait for HDFC Bank also to hit 2200, and then we'll take both these stocks recommendation with a pinch of salt.
Okay, fair enough. Meantime, Naresh, let's get in your take on the charts of some of these PSUs that came under a bit of pressure in yesterday's trading day. How are you reading on a Coal India or even a BPCL for that matter?
So, the Coal India and BPCL are relatively stocks which have gone in a slow and steady uptick. Coal India has seen a large up move, so it's gone up from 240 where it broke out to almost 460. Now the support for the stock comes around that 400, 410 mark. So my expectation is the stock may go sideways going forward, wherein 460 becomes a resistance and on the downside 400 becomes a support. So it should get range bound is the view rather than expecting a larger correction here. Same with BPCL. If you look at it, the stock did a strong rally over the last few months, going up from 400 odd levels to 630. Out here, the supports out here are much more deeper, so some more correction would be normal. But I would expect a sideways, say, as of now, 560 is the first support, and 620 remains a resistance. So expecting this also to go sideways for the next few weeks.
Sanjeev, the surprising name in the MSCI inclusion list appears to be an old favorite of yours, GMR. In fact, we bumped into the management from the sidelines of ET Now GBS the other day. And not only the airport business, but I gather even the power business, which is in another company, GMR Power. There's a lot of activity happening. But what about GMR Airports? Do you still like the stock?
अजय जी भाव भगवान छे गुजराती में कहावत है when I used to travel from Bandra to Nariman Point the Gujaratis would say भाव भगवान छे 35 रुपए में भाव भगवान था लेकिन आपसे लिया नहीं जाता था. You were always pessimistic about the debt. Look at the airports today. You should be proud of your nation building and the growth. In Heathrow Airport, it takes you 3.5 hours to stand. In GMR Delhi Airport, it takes you 5 minutes. The beauty lies in the eye of the beholder. AeroCity is seeing rocking business. As a disclosure, this has been in our portfolio from 35. We don't intend to sell it. And now, so please see where your recommendations are, where your money is. Stocks are jumping 40, 50%. And if you are in the right place and watching the right channel, you're making money.
Indeed, Parag was a good call, another good call, and the numbers also backed the movement. I also want to talk to you about Bosch. Results are today. About a month and a half back, Bosch broke out of its 8-year high range and got into a new territory. Surely some correction is happening, but if you could show the longer term chart, it's crossed the 25,000 mark now. We spoke about 22,000 odd last time. Want to review your call on Bosch, Sanjeev?
Again, Ajay, one of my old favorites at 12.5, 13, 15, 17, 18, and I gave a 25,000 target. A lot of the people who troll me on Twitter are laughing their way to the bank. This is a pedigree stock. Look at the way autos have reacted, whether it's Bajaj, whether it's Hero. Look at the numbers. OEMs are in the best spot. They invested almost $3 billion in Dresden for their semiconductor market. And it continues to be gaining larger market share in India as their very, very big destination. Now at 12.5 for a stock like this to double at 25,000, I can't stick my neck out. But if you have it, just stay put, because good stocks don't come by design, they come by default.
Okay, that is some interesting take coming in. But in the meantime, wanted to get in your take as well on how you're looking at some of these cement stocks. Is there any interest, in the scenario? We're talking about infrastructure activity picking up. This is a direct beneficiary of that space as a whole. What do you like within cement, Sanjeev?
Correct, and Avan, cement is going through the roof. Look at the price. It's a cartel. 53% of market share is with 5 players. Ultratech is laughing his way to the bank with 138 billion tons, and so is Ambuja and ACC, who have been re-rated. And now you're seeing the highest amount of construction activity as the cold ebbs, because in North there was an embargo because of GRAP and other things. I think they are in the sweetest spot ever. Cement is our overweight sector. Is Ultratech, ACC, Ambuja, and on declines lead as Dalmia Cement. But these three are top picks, and we think that they are only going to be further re-rated on the upside.
From the real estate space that's looking good on the charts that you would buy at the current price? Sony, that's for you.
Okay, I think Godrej Properties would be the first pick from the real estate space. You can see it's a good correction that has happened over the current few days. it has still held on to very good support of 2200. So I think on closing basis, as long as 2200 is getting defended, you
That's the Godrej Properties. ITC, finally, a lot of noise coming around ITC and what exactly will happen. And now we gather that the bankers have been, have started their work, and there would be a 3.5% to 4% kind of a stake sale from BAT because they want to handle their own debt issues. They've spoken about it in their own earnings conference call several times. And the street has started penciling that in. Look at the last 1 month, from 450 odd, the stock of IT has slipped around to 400 now. Is it getting to a good value zone, Sanjeev? Once this 3.5-4% is done with, then there wouldn't be any other supply for a very long time, one can assume it. Would you get into a name like ITC around this level when supply overhang is taking the stock lower?
Yeah, so Ajay, there are two things which stand out in this BAT first time coming to sell its stake. A, if BAT could sell whole hog, it would be a very big positive, because then the demerger of the cigarette business would be more in line with the BAT being one of the largest players. I think it's a relative positive, but also Ajay, if you see that SoftBank sells Paytm at or some of their old holding, lot of the foreign private equity players or long-term holders are encashing what they want in India. In a bull market, long-term holders will definitely look at opportunities where they can, use that cash for their own personal needs or reducing debt or whatever their other obligations, which in the short run may be negative because of the supply, but in the long run, it tells you that if you expect BAT to come back and buy ITC, he will never get it at a discount. So I think all this decline will see a little bit of oversupply. But if you want to get into a quality stock like ITC, then you can't have asked for a better time.
Out of all these names, Petronet LNG looks interesting. And then maybe one could look at a Gujarat State Petronet also, because GSPL also has a similar structure. The stock had topped out around 380 odd levels previously in 2021. That coming down to 330, 340 would be a good entry point.
Sanjeev, wanted to get in your thoughts then as well as to how you're looking at the entire consumption space. Do you believe that there are interesting opportunities at the current juncture, despite having acknowledged the fact that maybe there has been a bit of a slowdown rural?
Well, yes, Avan, and that is evident in the earnings, and you've seen the guidance being slightly lowered, but are very optimistic on the coming back. You cannot have two-wheelers go the way they have and not the other, the staple or discretionary events also pick up. I continue to think Britannia and Nestle are perfectly fit that bill. Look, Avan, people are missing that the market is revolving around sectors. Who thought that IT and pharma will be at all-time highs? When a time when most were struggling about AI and the slowdown in the US. Markets are very uncanny. They like to pick up sectors which are, most crowded and stay away, and which are most avoided. They want to do the best. I still think Britannia and Nestle now look to be the perfect fit. And they would be giving you longer term views, given that both the numbers were reasonably in line and the type of brand they possess. I think they can be relatively outperformed in this consumption space nearby. On the other hand, your discretionary spend is seeing Maruti take the cake. I think Ashok Leyland is again my top favorite. Ashok Leyland and Wipro perfectly fit the bill in auto and IT and use any decline to buy.
Sanjeev, what really held out yesterday amidst the mid and small cap decline was the PSU profit taking, right? Although we were just debating earlier, Ajay and I in the show, that, valuation wise, they are still expensive. And from the yearly peak, it's not much of a correction which has taken place, barring a few odd names here and there. You've always cautioned about, the frenzy that's building up in some of the railway stocks, and selectively one should profit take. What other than railways would you recommend profit taking within the PSU pack right now?
So, Aisha, look, markets, having spent 35 years, I realized that every 10 years or 5 years, when the new bull market comes, there are new leaders. This year, the leaders, the last 1.5 years, has clearly been defense, railways, PSUs, and they take the cake. They're just starting their rally. And valuations, even though have been cheap, have still not been exceptionally high. But in railways, definitely a lot of the good news is in the price. We know the capex, we know what type of attitude the government has towards increasing that. and I would be a little cautious there. But like I said, on the contrary, I think some of the metal plays, and have again indicated that the credit deposit ratio spread is just a matter of time.
Interesting. You spoke about pharma briefly. Did you have you analyzed Biocon recently? There has been some buzz around how they could actually monetize either the biologics arm or Syngene and may use it for debt reduction, just the way Glenmark did. Glenmark went from 300 to 900 on their debt reduction spree. Could Biocon do that, or you think that it could be a bit challenging?
Well, unfortunately, Mrs. Shaw has always, promised but under delivered. Now, Biocon at 250 was a real good bargain, and we've all waited for that debt reduction, which will improve the return on equity. But Ajay, it is yet to take off. So we still think that Biocon should be in your portfolio, but more weightage to Dr. Reddy's, Cipla, and Lupin. Lupin has been a doubler from my 750 to 1600. I can tell you Lupin is headed back to that 2200 over this year. So the Lupin would be my top favorite there. Biocon is in our portfolio, but like I said, the real proof of the eating remains on the performance of the stock. It has to clear that 300 level. Only then we'll talk of wealth creation.
Sanjiv, have to ask you about Indiabulls housing. The rights issue closes today. It's a sizable one, right? 3,600 crore rupees. What do you think investors should be doing here?
Well, you should have booked out at 200 and subscribed to the rights. You got the opportunity. Aisha, there are two corporates which are doing extremely well. Indiabull Housing, which we had invested, we divested, but Indiabull Real Estate, you cannot have a market cap of 6,500 on some of the primest of locations. We know of the issue of the previous management that is over. Embassy has taken over. Now there are clearances which will come ahead. And I think once the embassy open offer or whatever way there will be enough reinfusion of capital, and coming to a professional group like Embassy, I would be very, very positive on Indiabull Real Estate. That is where you should be converting and putting your money. Indiabull Finance, like I said, we will know more about who the actual largest shareholder is. As you know, there was no large shareholder or even worth 1.5%. That is what is going to be the unbundling. Similarly, I gave you a call on Dhanlakshmi Bank, which I said can be a very good acquisition target, given it has a market cap of just 1,000 crore and no holder of more than 1.5–2%. Markets are getting very, very, they are getting intrigued by where value lies and where the